All right. Good morning. Good morning. What's up, folks? My apologies for the slightly slow start this morning. I was foolish enough to think that the update for my streaming software would be a quick little process, and then it got hung up and turned into a whole nightmare. So, still didn't update, but I had to totally punt on that and get things up and rolling here. Let me get my screen sharing going in the Discord. All right, that's live. Got chat windows open. What's up, Unknown Reviews? Good to see you, brother. How are you? Good morning. All right, what's up, Navy Plum? Good morning to you as well. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what's going on here in the markets. Um, had kind of a really sort of crazy week of price action last week. And, we've got a lot of Fed speakers kind of sprinkled throughout the week this week. For those who aren't keeping track of the trading economic calendar, I think that's a really good one to watch. I'm going to go ahead and share that link with you guys in the chats in case you don't already have it. So like I said, they're kind of sprinkled throughout the week this week. Jerome Powell isn't slated to speak, at least not anywhere that I'm seeing. So he's not in the mix, and I'm not sure how much attention is going to be given to some of these other Fed speakers. I also, don't expect any of them to deviate too dramatically off kind of current messaging with regards to rate cuts and inflation and all those things that the market loves to pay attention to and either rally or melt down on. I kind of look at it as a regular trading week without a lot of data points that should kind of interfere with any plans or anything like that we have going on. Just looking at things from an ES perspective here, and then we'll get to some trade plan reviews, and then obviously we'll do some new trade plans. For those of you who are just joining me for the first time, thanks for coming. We do these every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure to come back every week for these. I think they're a great value add to what we do here at Xtrades. And so anyway, we're going to do some trade plan reviews. We're going to talk a little bit about the market, and then obviously going to work on some new trade plans based on ticker requests that you guys submit. So feel free to drop those in the chats, and we'll start to push through those and try to get through as many as we can before we get too close to market open. That still leaves me some time to knock out the daily SPY plan that gets posted every morning in the options watch list. All right, so going back to what we're looking at here on ES, added a new set of fib extensions, and some interesting levels kind of popped out as I map those out. I think clearly we're looking for a break of this 5708 to 5717 range. That's where futures has topped out. That's our current all-time high at the moment from an ES perspective. But the levels of interest to me, I think we'll obviously have some resistance tests and all that stuff on the way up. But key levels, areas where I think we could probably see a pretty interesting rejection and potentially a more extended pullback, and maybe some real profit taking. I just happened to catch a couple of confluences with a existing set of fib extensions from a while ago, and the set I mapped out most recently right up here in this 5836 confluence is what I would call that right there. And then above that at 6018, 6017, I mean, we're really splitting hairs at that point. So basically same level. So keep those levels on watch as we do break out and make new all-time highs. I think those could be some good spots to add hedges or potentially just, take some puts for profit. But I would certainly, as long as the market is trending strongly to the upside, I would say the trend is your friend. Overall exposure should remain long, but that doesn't mean that there won't be kind of prudent opportunities for a lot of profit taking and or adding some hedges into the equation. So anyway, just some thoughts on the market in general. Let's get to these trade plan reviews. We did member selected tickers over the weekend. Number one ticker, the ticker that received the most votes, interestingly enough, was Square. Not a name I've kind of heard mentioned a lot, but apparently has landed on a lot of people's watch lists. We did see a little bit of a dump, pull back down here to the 200 SMA on the 5 minute, also as a gap fill. And I mentioned this in the chats yesterday. After we gap fill, I saw that, essentially Square started bouncing pretty much immediately, or within the next 5 minute candle. It was already starting to bounce. And so that's when I kind of pointed out, looks like this gap is filled, and that's really kind of the only reason there was a downside move on Square at all. And it looks like it wants to push to the upside. Ultimately, we did get a break above and confirmation on this candle, hit PT1, and then we consolidated over PT1, so we flipped resistance to support. I also mentioned this yesterday, saying that we'll probably see this move continue with that being the case, and should expect to see PT2. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that sometime today. So keep an eye on this one. Hopefully you guys follow the plan. A really nice catch off the 200 SMA gap fill confluence, if anybody was paying attention to that. 200 SMA, 333 SMA are two moving averages I talk about a lot, and I recommend that you all add to your charts and look at on pretty much any time frame you're looking at. You'll find all kinds of interesting setups and opportunities depending on how you like to approach your trades off these moving averages. But again, overall, things push into the upside, flipping resistance to support. Again, I expect to see PT2 more than likely today, assuming there's no dramatic shakeups in the market or any kind of weird catalysts that just send things in all kinds of crazy directions. Applied Materials was also on our list, member selected tickers over the weekend. This one has been really kind of steadily making new all-time highs. We were waiting for a break over 248.99, just call it 249, to take an entry on this one. That's actually right where we topped out. Let me take a look at this on a smaller, show this on a smaller time frame, so it's a little bit easier to follow and see. So anyway, this is our trade plan. Whoops, didn't need to move that guy. So this is our trade plan. We're waiting for that call entry. Essentially, resistance held, got rejected. Seems to be holding this trend line that I'm watching, though. Nice little bounce off that yesterday, and that's going to continue to kind of slide to the upside. This could be an interesting one to watch. I still kind of would prefer to see a break of that. Better confirmation, I guess is what I should say. There's better confirmation for an entry over 248.89, where we rejected yesterday. We were 8 cents off of yesterday's high a day with that entry level. But really, it looks to me like as long as 246.09 holds, this could make a move. So keep that in mind if you want to take a riskier or more aggressive entry or anything like that. That's totally up to you. Again, better confirmation over 248.89, but I think as long as 246.09 holds, there is an interesting confluence. Again, talking about those SMAs, 333 right there, kind of a key level there at 246, and the trend not too far below. So you could keep a relatively tight stop on that more aggressive entry, and I would say break below yesterday's low a day would also constitute a break of the trend. So break below, I would say your stop could be around 243.64, somewhere around that range. You could use that as a stop if you took that entry there at 240, as long as 246.09 holds. So anyway, this one hasn't really confirmed a move either way, but we did have, I think, the call entry right where it needed to be. We just didn't confirm a break over. We got a rejection versus a breakout. That happens. Certainly could have played that rejection as a potential put entry, looking at that double top setup right there. So anyway, just thoughts as you guys look at these trade plans and think about different ways to use these levels beyond just exactly how I lay out the plan for you. Always welcome kind of re-engineering or reworking of the plans. All right, last but not least, remember selected tickers. Amazon Prime Day, I think, starts today, I believe. I think I saw. This has been an interesting one to watch. Definitely looked like we were getting a confirmed breakdown and back test of resistance there. For a put entry, could have been a little bit of a liquidity grab heading into Prime Day. Maybe, buyers wanted to move the price down and get a better entry is possible. Still holding, though, below the stop loss average down, so could be a potential average down opportunity. I don't like the way it's setting up. Let's take a look at the 15-minute as well. Well, no, I take that back. Before I go getting too locked in on one time frame, could be a decent average down opportunity as long as we hold below that 194.86 going into the open. But again, I'd be a little bit careful with that whole prime day catalyst hanging out there. And again, another reason to kind of pay attention to sort of everything that's going on, which I know sounds impossible at times, but as much as you can, or if you're going to look to trade a particular ticker, make sure they don't have any kind of upcoming catalysts like a earnings report or anything like that that you're not aware of, or with the case of Amazon here, Prime Day coming up, because that could certainly kind of upend what was a good trade plan. But overall, this does still lean bearish to me, and we do have a nice confluence here, selling pressure on Neptune along with the 200 SMA right there at the stop loss average down for puts. So I'd say as long as that's holding as resistance, that could be an opportunity to average down, and I'd say try to exit the plan at as close to break even as possible, because I would kind of expect this whole Prime Day catalyst to be a positive thing that causes Amazon to move to the upside. Obviously that remains to be seen, but just be a little bit cautious trying to get too locked into the downside, even though that did look like a pretty good confirmed break in my opinion. And I'll have to take a look at some of these levels. Maybe I missed something that's slightly lower than 191.65. I think I did, when I was doing the trade plan over the weekend, totally rework my Amazon levels. So I'd be surprised if I missed something, but again, it's totally possible, especially with the volatility we've had lately. All right, so last week during the live stream last Thursday, we did some trade plans. One of those was crowd. Never got a really good confirmed break to the downside, also within the first 15 minutes of open. Again, I often recommend being very careful about getting caught in liquidity sweeps right there within the first 15 minutes of the open. So I know I've said that before, but certainly bears repeating here. So not a great confirmed break, kind of more of a pipe move, straight down, straight back through, but did run right up to our call entry up here at 383.25 and rejected. So never got a confirmed entry to the upside, but does seem to be trying to build a base kind of in this no man's land range. Also an interesting confluence with both the SMAs down here near this 373.25 level that we've got on watch. That could be an interesting spot to try to buy the dip. We're a little bit removed from that here pre-market, and it looks more like, if there is going to be a setup that plays out, it'll probably be a confirmed break to the upside. Just make sure you respect your stop loss if and when we do get that confirmed break to the upside. But so far, I would say no confirmed moves yet on crowd. JPM we also did last Thursday during the live stream. Let's take a look at that. So this is when we put the plan into effect. Did look like a pretty decent break to the downside, but stop loss average down held. So definitely an opportunity to potentially add and get a better cost per contract on this one from what it looks like. And then they had an earnings report pre-market the following day. That did push it down below PT1, rejected PT1, got very close to PT2. What was the low of that candle? 202.10. I don't know. I like my hits to be a little bit closer than that. I think it's within a reasonable range, but I don't know. I don't want to necessarily call out a hit of PT2, and certainly, I often pick weekly levels as key targets. I'm not sure why I thought bypassing one in this particular scenario was a good idea, but this weekly level looks like it was the key support there that held, pushed things back up into some of that selling pressure there overhead, and JPM has continued to try to recover from there, even gave us a decent breakout to the call side of the plan. Back here, did catch this minor resistance fib extension there at 211.51, but ultimately seems to be holding above the call entry as support here. So might see our PT1 there at 212.95. So this one's had opportunities on both the upside and the downside from the plan. Congrats if you followed that. And then last but not least, NVIDIA, and then we'll get to some new trade plans. I know I've been going through a lot here. So we did this last Thursday pre-market. We opened up below the call entry, dumped down below, back tested the put entry level, and then straight from there to PT2 for puts. So great setup opportunity off that back test. down to PT2 for puts. Plenty of money to be made on those contracts. We consolidated between those price targets and even got another rejection off of PT1 that pushed things down quite a bit lower. And then pre-market, again, this is kind of one of the tricky things that I've talked about in the past when it comes to swinging options. Sometimes your target's hit and then the move starts to go against you before you can do anything to exit your contracts. Ultimately, PT3 to the downside did hit, and NVIDIA has rallied from there since for the most part. We did get kind of a close to a back test of the put entry. Possible opportunity there, but a little bit far removed, and with that trending to the upside, I don't think I would have been jumping into anything prematurely there. And does seem to be finding some resistance as of yesterday, but trying to build a higher base here off of PT2 from that plan. That seems to be our pre-market low so far. They're at 127.65. So, you know, our plan for puts tapped 125.25. So now we're looking at 127.65 potentially being a higher base and a higher low from NVIDIA. So again, keep this one on watch. A break back over 129.77. Let's take a look at the 15-minute. Could be an interesting opportunity. There's definitely an interesting confluence there at 130.75 from a Neptune perspective that I would be cautious of. But anyway, so far the NVIDIA trade plan has played out to the downside. I think we're probably also at a point where we should just look at setting up a new plan on this one before we get too eager about re-engineering these levels, just based on kind of how this price action's played out since we hit PT3. All right, so what's up, Chris? Good morning. How are you, brother? And good morning to the folks in Discord. Good morning to the folks in YouTube. All right, we're going to get to some new trade plans here this morning. Unknown reviews. Oh, what's up, Strife? Sorry, I missed your good morning there. Hope you're doing well. Unknown reviews wants to take a look at TSM. I think somebody asked me about this yesterday in the chat. Was it yesterday? I think so. Where I was saying that there was possibly an interesting entry there at 182.85 if we got down to that and bounced. But didn't have really a full charting or analysis on TSM at all. So this is a good opportunity to work on that. And let's just check one thing. Earnings report in 2 days, so keep that in mind. Still some room to not only day trade, but even get a short swing trade out of this. Just make sure that you are, you know, sized accordingly if you decide to swing anything through earnings. All right, so like I said, TSM, yeah, I was going to say if I've charted it, it was a long time ago, and it's broken way out above any of those levels. I don't even know what I was doing with some of this. This must have just been a quick throw some levels on the chart and talk about them while I was maybe doing some mentoring or something. Anyway, let's take a look at TSM and see how we might want to approach this. Definitely an interesting base way down here. And that's really kind of, I don't think I need to probably look any lower than that, at least for a near-term trade plan. And not going to really catch any other weekly levels, just based on the limited amount of price data that we've got there. So let's move on. Try to build up our support and resistance. That kind of, at least for me, really helps me visualize how I want to set my plans up. And, you know, I get all the levels on the chart, and then it's just a matter of going through and finding the right levels to use in your execution of your trade plan. And as we always say here, plan your trades, trade your plans. There is a daily level there. I think it's sitting more like that. Yeah, we don't have any other price action above that 148.20 level. Though I think we might Yeah, it's not really there actually. Sorry. Just thinking out loud there for a moment. This is an interesting level though. It's a really interesting rejection, but it hasn't really been followed up by much. I don't know. There's something close to that level though that we can still see on the daily chart. All right, let's dig in to some of these hourly time frames. This is one that's going to move a lot outside of even extended hours for US traders, being that it's based out of Taiwan. So keep that in mind, especially when it comes to swings. Also can make things a little bit challenging when it comes to finding the right support and resistance levels, but who doesn't like a good challenge, right? Also, big semiconductor stock, so big volatility, likes to make big moves. That can be very profitable or can be heartbreaking. But if you stick to the plan, should be profitable, or you're taking a reasonable loss. Let's figure out what that plan is going to be, though. All right. I think that's all I'm going to see here. So let's kind of accelerate this process here a little bit. Make sure I've got, yep, indicators on there. Neptune bull flag's been holding strong here on the hourly, catching some nice bottoms there. Definitely was a level I was already eyeballing as a potential put entry. I think we do have levels sitting right there though on the hourly. Could be a closer first price target than that daily level below. Also interested by this level. Did get a little bit of pre-market bounce off that, so maybe we wait for a little bit better confirmation if this even does play out to the downside below 180.86. Do you think that takes us down to this daily level? I also think that there is a, seems tight but prudent stop loss right there at 182.60. So I kind of like that tight risk window. Below that, let's just make sure there's not some interesting topping right through here. I know we're not going to get any other price action in that range. That's fine. I think there could be a level here. I think makes sense to be a little bit more conservative, especially as we're kind of playing against the overall momentum of this. And then below that, I think we should get, although this daily level might have just off by a hair. I think it sits right there. I think that makes for a smart PT3. All right, so that's the downside plan sorted. The other thing we're going to need is some fib extensions on this one. This trend that I think really kind of starts, it's not the cleanest or the greatest trend, but it's a decent. Running right up through there, it looks like. Not a trend line I would play as like an exact bounce, but good enough to give us an idea of where we want to base our fib extensions from. Let's get this locked in on that high. And let's see where we find some new levels and confluences. I do like how this sets up right there. Might actually be just a little hair lower. Come on, move. Dang it. There we go. Perfect. All right, let's map these out. That's all we'll need for now. All right, so upside. I think we can take a shot at this on a break back over this 190.47 level. Definitely PT1 there at current all-time highs. Stop loss 188.57. Yeah, you know what? I think we can use this. Again, it's a tight window, but in a way, I think that's a good thing. Otherwise, I think back below that could just get choppy and contracts wind up just getting beat up, theta to death. Actually, let me throw those fib extensions back on. Let's see. As far as runners go, make sure you're moving your stops up. I think we could take a shot there at the 618. All right, so here are our God, that's always hard to say. Both kind of tight windows, but good risk reward in that regard. Upside, yeah, 1.6 PT1 there. Downside, almost 2 to PT1. All right, let's talk through these real quick. I know we have kind of a wide berth that we're given this, but I think that that's appropriate for a number of reasons. All right, here's the TSM live stream plan, posted in the YouTube chat, also posting it in the options watch list. So let's talk through this real quick. What are we looking for here on Taiwan Semiconductor? We are looking for a break over 190.47 to play this for continuation to the upside. That should give us a first price target at 193.99, and then from there PT2 at 197.54 and PT3 at 202.96. Make sure you're moving your stops up. This is all price discovery over 193.99, so anything can happen. These fib extensions are just our best guess at where we will find resistance that we've never seen before. So again, keep that in mind. There is also potential earlier rejection there at 221, but I say go ahead and shoot for a little bit of a further price target at that point. You should be well in profit, and stop should also be well in profit or at break even at the worst, at which point, you know, I say shoot for a little bit of a higher PT at that point. Stop loss average down, if I didn't mention that, at 188.57, so a tight window, but I think appropriate. And then to the downside, we're looking for a break below 180.86. That should bring targets at 177.11, 174.69, and 170.50 with a stop loss average down at 182.60. Those are your TSM trade plans. Let's take a look at some more ticker requests here. What do we got? TSM CD wants to take a look at snow, wants to update that plan. Let's take a look at it. It's been a little while since we looked at snow. I think, yeah, I was going to say this one launched to the upside after hitting some downside targets. Looks like it hit PT1 plus for puts. Let's zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, it got down to seems to be coming back into the range for our plan too, but yeah, got down to PT1 plus breakdown back test. Well, there was your breakdown PT1 and then some back test back to PT1, and then broke out, consolidated above our call entry and ran to all three upside price targets within a day and just continued to run from there. All right, let's take a look. It's definitely been highly volatile. I think this weren't they implicated in that big cyber breach with AT&T? Wasn't it Snowflake that? Yeah, that's right. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, well, that'll make things interesting. Definitely have eyes on it and volatility in the mix. Let's clean up the chart real quick. So fortunately, we already have levels here on Snowflake, but let's take a look at bigger picture here for a minute. So 333 SMA right there also seems to have been a key level to hold for Snowflake. I'd be very interested by a break back below this 133.48 level. First price target. I think it gets down and retests this 130.47. I mean, that was a really clean bounce off that level. I think that was previous all-time high at one point. I'd say let's just shoot a little bit more conservative. Not going to hurt that much. Not going to miss that much profit. Shoot for 131.01. First price target. Second target. I kind of got stung by ignoring the weekly level last time. Not going to do that again. Third price target. I like 128.02. Stop loss average down. Let's take a look at, let's see, slightly tighter price action just for a minute. I think it's, honestly, that level looks like it's a little off. I think it's right here. I don't think. It is right there. Again, with the volatility on this, well, also coincidentally, not so coincidentally, lines up perfectly with Neptune. Decent little confluence there overhead. Let's see what that does to our risk reward. So giving this one kind of room to work, essentially. But I think that that's appropriate given the volatility on it with some of these catalysts floating around right now for snow. You know, 1-to-1, not terrible. Risk reward to the downside, getting to PT1. overall. Almost 2.5 to 1. All right, upside. When do we want to take a shot at that? I think there's an entry here. With a first target at this 138.69 level. There's a level that's either I've missed or has been recently established right about here that I think makes sense for stop loss. So again, kind of a wide, or given this trade room to work out, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I think, again, very appropriate to do that given the volatility that Snow is seeing at the moment. This is a very interesting level, at least from recent price action. Let's see. When was the last time we were in this range? And there's a little help there. It's sitting anywhere, it's sitting right there. So let's check this. See how that sets up. Yeah, okay. I'm here for it. PT2 also gives us a pretty close confluence there with he's selling pressure on Neptune. In fact, I would maybe, yeah, nudge this down just a little bit. 140.83 second price target, third price target 142.20. So this is what the upside plan looks like. Let's check our risk reward as we always do. 1.2 to 1, getting to the first price target there. Set this chart up so it'll be easier to see. All right, that looks pretty good. So here we go. Yeah, I thought so. CD. And posting over in the options watch list in our Discord. So what are we looking at here on Snowflake? We're looking for a break below 133.48 to play for downside. That should give us targets at 131.01, 129.57, and 128.02, with a stop loss average down at 135.72. To the upside, we're looking for a break over 136.42. That should give targets at 138.69, 140.83, and 142.20, with a stop loss average down at 134.57. Those are your snowflake, there we go, plans for the upside and the downside. All right, let's see. 20 minutes until market open. Chris wants to take a look at XLV. Healthcare. Apparently we did some what looked to like fib extensions last time we planned this one. Yeah. Looks like we did these, gosh, probably somewhere around February of this year. Clearly those fib extensions have, I'd say, established them well, so it's self on back. Nice base off that PT1 from that old plan there. Oh man, the challenge with this is with it being at essentially current all-time highs, yeah, back testing is support, really, previous all-time high, and on a breakout, probably need more than 5 minutes to put this one together. One thing I will say, if it gets a back test of this 147.58, it's a little bit off from my fib extension there, but again, as you get further extended, the guessing probably gets to be a little less accurate. I think there is a level though right here that I would say buy the dip. There at 147.56. And yeah, keep your stop there at 146.86. First target, or your target, really, the target, I would say should be this cash session all-time high there at 148.89. It's probably the best I can do in short order, but decent little plan. And then from there, I guess we could also throw this out real quick. That pre-market price action, that's very sus. So on this one, regular trading hours only. So it's probably next targets. So there's a, I guess, a quick buy the dip setup plan if it plays out. Set this right here. Just like that. It's very true, Chris. Very true. All right, so here's the XLV by the dip plan. Oh, whoops. Helps if I copy the link. So, what are we talking about here on XLV? We're looking to buy the dip off 147.56 or take an entry as long as that's holding. We are pretty close to it here pre-market. Use your targets at 148.91, 149.85, and 150.55 with a stop loss averaged out at 146.86. That's your Chris G special. All right, let me put this over in the whoops, shoot. Copy this. Paste it over there. Chris. All right. So what are we talking about here on XLV? Essentially buying the dip off of 147.56, or as long as we're holding very near and over 147.56 going into the open. I say buy the dip, buy the blank dip. And then that should give us targets at 148.91, 149.85, and 150.55. Again, those are fib extension targets over 148.91. So again, just keep in mind we are estimating untested resistances at that point. With a stop loss average down at 146.86, that was your quick XLV by the dip plan. Thanks for that, Chris. Always appreciate your requests, my friend. And with that, it's time to wrap up the live stream. We're 15 minutes out from market open. I need to go work up the SPY plan and get that posted for the Xtrades Discord community. So with that, I'm going to call it a Tuesday live stream. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. As we always say here on the FOMO live streams, plan your trades and trade your plans. I hope you guys will come back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also feel free to share this with your friends. Totally free to join these on YouTube. I am interacting and chatting with folks on YouTube. So spread the word, get folks in here. The more, the merrier, in my opinion. I will see you guys back here Thursday morning. Have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I will see you in the chats.